Welcome to the Sharpe Way show. Yes, it is 7 p.m. on the East Coast, so you've got to look at my mug. Yes, that's the rules. Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. I am here. Yesterday it was 7:30, so don't be tomorrow. Tomorrow will be 8. So basically, I'm full of it. None of it's true. Anyway, every night you have to look at me either way, so please do that. And what's most important is please like, comment, share. You have to let people know that we are out here doing this. Or how are they going to know that we're getting stuff done? So like, comment, share so that people will follow us and grow our media. And of course, if you've got the cash, please support us. Patreon.com/Sharpeway. If you've got big money, throw me $100 a month. If you're Mr. Moneybags, Mrs. Moneybags, please do that. If you're not that wealthy, no worries. $10 is fine. $25 is fine. But if you have none of that, no worries, because you're tight because of the economy. I get it. Like, comment, share. That's free. You can do that right now. And you might say to yourself, Larry, that makes a lot of sense. I like it. But I'm not sure. Do I want to support you libertarians? Well, you might want to. If you're not sure, I have an idea. Help out one of my sponsors. Head on over to theadvocates.org. Take a test and see where you stand. How libertarian are you? I bet you are more libertarian than you think you are. I bet you are. Head on over there, theadvocates.org. Take the test. When you're done taking the test, guess what? Post it online so people see you took the test. You might not be libertarian, but I bet you're close. And you might be libertarian. Let people know who you are and push theadvocates.org, helping me out. And the last piece of business I will wrap up before I get to my amazing guest is if you are someone who likes CBD products, please head over to grownselection.com. Support this libertarian-owned business. It's a small business. If CBD is part of your world, part of your health regimen, go here, support libertarians, put in Sharpe Way 20, and you'll get 20% off. See how much I love you? 20% off because I care about you. All right, I am very happy today. I am lucky today that I have with me someone who I've met more than once here in the great state of New York, trying her best to make change in this state. And boy, it is not easy, but she's up there doing it. Republican running for state assembly in New York State, Stephanie Jackson. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good. You're surviving.
I am. Oh, yes. I'm surviving.
Absolutely. For more information on Stephanie, head on over to jacksonforthepeople.com. You can get some more information on what she's doing in her world and how she cares about this state. Now, I guess the piece that I want to bring up, for most people who don't know this, the reason why I reached out to you was because I saw that your Facebook page got taken down.
Yes, it did.
And as soon as I saw that, I said, whoa, wait a minute. That something's wrong. Let me reach out to Stephanie and see what's going on here. You know what? You can't have your Facebook page. You can have mine.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it very much. And, yes, I am a Republican candidate, endorsed conservative and libertarian. I really haven't subscribed to political parties prior to this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running against the Democrat chair of Onondaga County. So the only way that I was going to have a fighting chance was to run as a Republican.
Yep.
I think most of the Republicans in this area are happy enough with me as a Republican, but I don't totally subscribe to the party because I'm more constitutionalist. I'm more for our freedoms and our rights.
But see, that's what I liked about you, right? For those people who aren't in New York State, we have what's called fusion. And fusion means you can actually run under multiple lines, right? You don't have to be just a Democrat, just a Republican, or just Libertarian. You can be more than one. And years ago, when we last year we won, we had many who were cross-endorsed who had lots of victories. One of those who are cross-endorsed this year was you, Stephanie. You are a Libertarian and a Republican and a conservative, correct? All three?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she has 3 lines. But this is the part that drives me crazy. The Republican Party, for some reason, doesn't like you. But I look at you, and maybe I'm the crazy one. I think most people get it. You're a pretty solid Republican. I don't know why they wouldn't like you. Tell me what's going on there.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think we have a real serious problem in the state of New York. And I'm sure that, Larry, you're the right person to actually know that. And why you actually advocate for third party is critical because while I may be at the federal level and normally I wouldn't be. If this was George Bush running, I would not be voting. I would be like Joe Jorgensen all the way. But because this is Donald Trump and I know that he's actually going up against the global problems that we're having right now, and that's both sides, Republican and Democrat. I mean, it's mostly the left, but they're being helped by many people in the right. And what we have is an issue here in Onondaga County that a lot of the Republicans are rhinos, to be honest with you.
No, I've heard that complaint many times across New York. It's one of the things that many libertarians actually exploit, right? They actually exploit that and go, you're looking for a Republican Party. You can't find one in New York State. Come libertarian. I think a lot of libertarians try to exploit that.
Yeah, so I have conservative values. I'm, like I said, I'm pro our rights, our constitutional rights. So I can fit into all, but you can't box me in.
Got it.
I break that typical mold.
So if I understand what you're telling me is you're saying the Republican Party thinks that you don't toe their line well enough, so they're not supporting you. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, that would what it seems to be on the surface, because I maybe talk too much, or their typical way of the way that they like to run the party. I'm, already had my own platform from podcasts. I already had a base prior. So I didn't get any lick of help. Okay. Not a bit of assistance, nobody reaching out to me, making sure there's a select few. And those are some people that I truly will, carry with me through this because they showed me their true colors. However, I mean, one situation, I mean, there's been numerous situations. You have to look at the fact that my opponent has ran unopposed in the last 2 terms.
I have seen that again and again and again. Yes.
Why?
Yes.
And so I took the initiative to try to reach out to the other side. One of the crowns that I met with was right on the streets in the city of Syracuse, fighting for our children. And that was in school. I presented the option of school choice and federal funding following your child, because that would gravely help the situations.
Absolutely.
And so I was able to open the door of some conversations with nonprofits and groups that were advocating for some of those things. And I think and that was at a time where there was a big thing between the Italians, which run much of the Republican Party, and Black Lives Matter for taking down the Columbus statue.
Oh, right. Yes.
Ben Walsh had a committee that he put together for 8 weeks and led up until the Friday before Columbus Day, letting that tension and turmoil of the people accumulate before he made his decision. So
he didn't make things better. He actually made things worse.
Absolutely. Now the tensions are higher. So I kind of stayed out of it, like what have they done for me? Honestly, not a damn thing. Okay. And I have a biracial family. So I mean, I was in the middle, but not in a way that I know how vicious the media is. That why would I want to vocally say one thing about this so that they could use me to pit me towards the other side?
This is a piece that I see all the time, and you've hit a perfect spot so often. And this is, I hate the fact that it's everywhere. We are now united by what we hate, not by what we stand for. So they don't care if you stand for solid, principles. They don't care about that. They care, why won't you hate the people that we hate?
Exactly. And so I've been vocal about the kids being kicked out of school. They did not that, because many of them are pro vaccinations, and I'm not an anti-vaxxer. My kids are vaccinated.
Me too.
My mother did have a vaccination allergy that is going to affect her for the rest of her life. So that has put me in contact with numerous people where I've heard their stories.
And you're like me. You're not anti-vax. You're anti-mandate.
Correct. Because it's not a one size fits all. People have different health problems, as we see with COVID.
Yes.
That it can't just do the same thing for everybody. And so I'm for choice, and I and so that probably was part of it. They didn't really want me to talk about that stuff so much, but I wasn't going to stop. And
Right.
again, that's because it affects me. That's legislation that's on the table in Albany. And I mean, big bills are on the table in Albany, which is really why I ramped up my effort, because I'm homeschooling my own kids now, because I'm nobody's going to give my 11-year-old daughter an HPV vaccine without my knowledge or consent. It'll be over my dead body.
I don't think you're alone in that thought process.
I'm not. I'm not.
Yes.
And so that's just it. Their theories get stuck in the mud because I didn't need all the money to get the support that I've got. You can look at the candidates and what they're doing now, and they're stealing my ideas, stealing my words, stealing, like, how am I staying relevant? The news came after me. How did I stay relevant in this election? Social media. 2 days later, my social media is gone, my base.
Yes.
And the difference is conservatives and people who are telling the truth about certain things that are being scrubbed off the internet right now are being censored. But the reason for my Facebook being deleted was simply sharing an event. It wasn't something that I said or did at all. The media plotted on me for a month before this even happened to try to connect me to something much more sinister.
It's funny, I always see that once you become in any way, important or powerful or impactful, or you have any meaning, whatever, then the lies come. That's it happened to me too, right? And I know people think that it's only the other party. No, it's both. Democrats will do it. Republicans will do it. Anybody will do it. Whatever it takes. The people who are in power will do it, whether they have an R or a D by their name. They'll just do it without question. So you weren't getting much support from the Republican side, but you also told me that the Democrat side is attacking you openly.
Okay, so what took place was that around September, Larry, a reporter reached out to me, Sarah Wallace from NBC4 New York, and she wanted to do, there was a rising of women gun owners, and looking up, she found me because I had a high rating from the NRA, even though I didn't get their endorsement. But I'm a first-time candidate, so I didn't really get many endorsements because I have no political track record.
But you are a pro-Second Amendment, totally a pro-Second Amendment candidate, correct?
Yes. So I thought, you know what? Even if they try to make me out to look like something that I'm not, I'm running for election. I'll take the bait because I'll take one for the team, because I really want to get things heard about the Second Amendment. And, she portrayed herself to be someone who seemed like she was just really trying to stay maybe relevant, even to get some stories and to cover up here, and maybe with COVID, I thought maybe she wanted to come upstate and get away from the city a little bit. So I got a few women together. We filmed the segment. They came out here to Syracuse. And I took her out to a gun range, and then she got another segment that I connected with Steve Filano, and I know you know who that is.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So we got a militia training kind of segment together for her as well. So fast forward now, I saw you in Auburn at Tim's meeting, and at that time, the American Patriot Council, which is Ryan Kelly, is the head of the American Patriot Council. Okay. He was hosting a nationwide Patriot March. Okay. And so I didn't know about what the media was trying to connect him to. And I'll get to that in a moment.
Okay. This is a good story. I got to make a movie about this. Keep going.
Literally, I swear.
I just want to make sure that that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson plays me. That's all I care about. That's all. Yes.
Well, so I filmed the segment, but when I took her to the gun range, I noticed that she plugged the American Patriot Council march happening into the segment. And that was a red flag to me, because I thought, maybe she's plugging an event for me. Oh, yeah. Okay. So my event was removed, and I didn't really know why. Still,
it was removed from Facebook.
Right.
Okay.
So, but I wasn't removed. Okay.
Got it.
So we talked, and because of COVID, we thought, oh, an online event would fix that problem, because if there was more than 50 people interested, and there were thousands of people interested, that we'll just do a new event, and hopefully we can do that.
Sure.
So we did, and it picked up interest again. And the day before, it was the 24th, all of us got our Facebooks removed. Every single person who was a part of this event had their Facebooks
Wow.
removed, irreversible. You're talking about my podcast, my Facebook page with my children's life since 2008, and my my campaign page. Okay. That's my base. The groups, my Facebook, that was my largest base of how I was reaching people without being able to do town halls and
Yep.
together. Besides protesting for our rights, that's it. That's all I had. And I said, you know what? I'm still going to do this. I'm not going to let them shut me up. I'm not going to cancel this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go. And so I went Saturday to the Patriot March, and we had it planned not as some plan to overtake a government, but as a peaceful patriot march for all of us to come together for our rights. And we
Sure.
did some Cuomo stuff, but half of the people in attendance, and there was probably like 50 people who came. And then a lot of people were confused, like, is the event on? Is it
Right,
on?
sure, of course. It's not online anymore. Yep.
So there was still a wonderful turnout that we had, and we had pastors, we had gospel singers, we had kids singing, we had live musicians, and we were all there in solidarity for our rights. And
Mm-hmm.
so half of the people were people of color who are in attendance with us, and Antifa showed up. There was about 40 to 50 white younger kids dressed in all black, riot gear, everything, from SU.
Ah,
But
okay.
kids couldn't even go to the south side of Syracuse if they wanted to. But they did their intimidation stuff. They didn't come inside, or we went up to them and asked them if they would like an American flag and just join us, and they refused.
Of course not.
But
So
there
what
was
happened in the end of this? Like, did this end politely? Did it end as a disaster? How did it end?
It's not over.
It's not over.
So the local paper came and wrote a report, and then all it was photos with no information or no mention of me. So I tweeted the article that put out and said, oh wow, I'm still being like censored even by the media. And so they put up another article, and it was about the whole, what it was, and then said a piece that, oh, and to make, of course they had to throw a jab at me. Oh, it was mostly how we were united with our standing up about Andrew Cuomo. But a Siena poll says that 73% of people agree with Andrew Cuomo. And so, so
So
I
this has
laughed.
got to be challenging for you. I want to kind of bring this to you still doing this. I mean, you're not getting support from your party as well as you'd like. You're getting actively assaulted by the left. I mean, trying to drop you. The media is stopping you. Now even social media is stopping you. I'll ask a crazy question. Why are you still doing this? I'm happy you are. I'm just saying, why?
I'm not directing my own steps. I gave my life to God a long time ago, and I let him lead, and I'm here for a real reason. And it might not be this election. It might be bigger than that.
Okay. All right. So you're just going to let it go, and what happens, happens.
Facts.
Okay.
The last article I wrote, I said, thank you, but I would prefer accurate reporting. No mention of the other group of people who were in attendance at our event. And then Twitter CNY Antifa took to me, posted a picture of me, said, get this fascist piece of SHIT out of the city. And I had to call the cops because there was a group of people all in black across the street from my house that next night. And now everywhere I go, I can see that I'm being tailed and followed. So I went to church on Sunday, found out that maybe my calling isn't to be a politician, but maybe to be a minister. And
Maybe. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But
It's okay. You can do both still. It does happen. You can. We have a guy named Ricky Harrington who's actually running for Senate in Arkansas, and he used to be a prison pastor. So it does happen. You never know.
You know, it's like I said, it was by my works in the local community and making things safer and better that put me in this position to want to run for assembly.
Sure.
However, what has taken place now during this process, I've had to take a lot of hits and a lot of attacks and a lot of things that are not right and they're not okay. But I'm taking them very well. And you have to realize the implication of what this means with our First Amendment, with our freedom of speech, that I was silenced for exercising a march for our constitutional rights. Well, the media had a plan and I thwarted their plan. I have proof of text messages between reporters that they actually put in print for me that I was tied to the plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer. I don't know Ryan Kelly. I'm not a member of the American Patriot.
Yeah, but they don't care. They just throw stuff out there.
I just wanted to do that. It was but I have the proof of that. And now it all makes sense later on. That when Sarah Wallace came up here, she wanted to paint me as a gun-toting lunatic, which if you turn on your TV right now, you see that there is militias outside ready and on standby for the crazy crap that's going on. And so I'm not that.
So let me ask, how do you think your race is going? You've told me that your district is a Democratic majority district, right?
Correct.
So, but you said you generally have Republicans who support you. Generally, I mean, obviously not the establishment, but I mean the voters, right? The average voter does support you. Libertarians in the district kind of support you. What is there a chance of you? I'm sorry?
Libertarians support me the most.
There we go. Yes, exactly.
I know you guys are but I literally told everybody that I know, listen, New York is done in the presidential. The local elections, you got to vote with your heart. The presidential election, vote with your head. Conservatives vote for Trump on that line. Libertarians vote for Joe. Or you guys vote third party because it's going to Biden anyways.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to vote Trump, do it on the conservative line. If you're going to vote Joe, do it, obviously libertarian. But that's important to save our third parties in New York State right now, too.
Absolutely. They're trying to stop it 100%. So then if that's where you're not sure where that's going to be going, right? With those groups.
The numbers, the numbers and the sabotage. 37,000 in my district, 37,000 registered Democrats, 17,000 registered Republicans, 10,000 conservatives, 3,000 libertarians. So if you add up the Republicans, the conservatives, and the libertarians, it still doesn't put me at 37,000. The number that I needed to reach was there's 19,000 registered voters who don't belong to a party.
Blanks.
People needed to hear my platform, and that's where the sabotage for me happened. We planned a drop, a lit drop. That's where I would have put my information into their hands. They would have knew my stances and stood for what I stood for. And I probably would have had most of their votes, which would have really, truly made me a threat in this election.
Sure.
And about 3,000 of my pieces of literature were stuffed, even though I brought the most people to stuff and the most people to distribute it.
But that's the funny thing that I'm bringing up here, and one of the reasons why I wanted you to tell your story to the audience is you're being punished not because you're a bad Republican or a bad candidate or you don't support the party or any of those things. In fact, you've actually tried to cross parties. You've tried to cross and grab conservatives and libertarians. You've tried to do that. But you still get punished because you're not the mainstream. And the elites, yet again, in my state, and I think most states, if you're watching, the elites punish those who they don't think follow the elite way of doing things, whatever that is. I mean, you would think if I was, obviously I'm not a Republican, But if I was a Republican and I was in the GOP and I was in your area, I would think, wait a minute, we got this woman. She might be able to do some damage here. Why don't we get behind her, help her with her literature drop, help her to get that stuff out here? She might be able to make some damage, maybe even win this thing. Oh, my God. But I think it turns the apple cart over, and then each person doesn't have their own fiefdom. To your point, we've made it to, I bring this up often, when we have only a two-party system and that's it. By default, a two-party system will eventually become a cartel system, which says you run over there, I'll run over here, and now we have local monopolies. And that's why there's no one, everyone's running unopposed. So your opponent was running unopposed, and the Republicans were okay with that. They were getting their kickback or their payment, or they were getting, you could keep your fiefdom over here, don't bother us.
Yeah.
And here comes Stephanie getting in the way of all that. Well, we can't have that.
Way of all that, because people from my platform from the beginning, I had raised almost $2,000 just from people giving me money out of the, from supporting me before I asked, before I did fundraisers, before anything. When it came time for me to hold a fundraiser, I realized that none of the committee was buying a ticket. And I smelled the shit then, honestly. Yeah. And said, hey, you know what? I put a video out and said, I don't want your money. I'm not going to go crazy these last months trying to raise money to do crazy things. I just want your vote. Listen to me, share my information. I know people are going through hard times right now.
Yes.
Waited 7 months for unemployment. Businesses shut down. I don't want your money. I want your vote. Oh, and that probably really pissed them off.
Yes. But you speak of that, you said you're basically homeschooling now.
I am. I
mean, how in the world do you homeschool and still campaign and still have, you have a family, right?
I do. And I'm so blessed because, homeschooling isn't virtual learning or distant learning. The beauty of this is that my 11-year-old daughter is learning twice the amount that she's learned in school in half the amount of time.
Yep.
The resources are at her fingertips. She doesn't have to share her attention with 19 other students or more in her classroom. And I mean, she could probably pass the grade beyond the grade level of what she's at right now, just from what we've done in the last few months. And I just made the decision. I toyed with it last year to get a practice to add to her curriculum, because I know the public school, she was passing all A's, but her state test went down within this school district where she was above the standard before. Now she's below the standards. And what they would like to do is get as many people with the need of services for that money to
you made it. Yep.
And so when I asked about the legislation about the HPV on the table, I went to the board meeting. They didn't want to answer me there. I gave them 30 days. They didn't answer me. And then I just said, okay, here's my notice. February 14th was their last day of school. And then COVID hit like a ton of bricks. And so I couldn't have been more. I mean, God's just been with me this whole way. He's had his hand on me. I still have all that faith that I'm here for a real reason. And I realize now, because of all of this, with big tech being subpoenaed by the White House this week, this isn't just conservative censorship. This was election interference on my part, Facebook. So this is like a really big deal. So instead of going crazy and be like, I'm crunching last minute, I'm going to get every one of these to these 15,000 people, I just said, you know what, enough. I'm going to just sit back and leave this up to God. Everything that has happened for a real reason. And I do have a responsibility to my family. So of course I'm not going to be a fool going right out here and be a moving target for people. So I'm going to just sit back and relax here for a little while and see what the outcome is.
So let me see. Let's say you win this thing.
I'm having second thoughts.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Do you actually want to hang out with these people now? You may say no thanks. Right?
I'm gonna need a whole suit. I'm gonna need one of those suits that they put on in the old days in the castles just to go to work and all.
So, but let's walk down that road for a second. Let's assume you actually win this thing. I mean, do you think they're going to be like, Stephanie, we've always loved you. Oh, we're just kidding.
Well,
Oh,
now that I'm talking about them, no, but I don't care. I don't care.
But they might all of a sudden love you. I'm just saying it could happen.
Yes, well, luckily for me, I'm a smart cookie.
Okay, so you're not going to all of a sudden embrace your new best friends? Okay. No. Okay.
You know, you got to come across me before then it's war.
Yeah, but I guess the other issue though becomes, right, if you actually win this thing, there's a lot of stuff for you to take care of, and you actually have a platform with a lot of stuff you got to take care of, right? I mean, I've seen your platform. You talk about medical freedom, you talk about taking care of kids, you talk about protecting families. I mean, you talk about a lot of stuff. You're not just, you're going to try to get stuff done.
You know, that was another thing that was like, what do you want to narrow your campaign down to? And I'm like, this is New York. Do you know what we're going through? If you don't have someone to be able to look at all of this stuff, we're in serious trouble, because there isn't just one or two things that I'm focusing on in this.
I know. I wish you were wrong, but you are absolutely right. You are absolutely, I wish you were wrong, because you are so right. There's so much wrong with this state. We could sit here and talk for 6 hours on how bad New York is. I mean, no one would listen by the time that the New Yorkers would have already, jumped off of buildings, and everybody else wouldn't believe it. So we're not going to do that. But it's a valid point, right? We have so much to fix in this state and so much to do. So, but if you win this seat, I mean, you'll start moving forward on this. I hope you know that many of the things you talk about, we align libertarian values, and we're happy to stand behind you in a lot of those things if you do actually win this thing. If you don't, is there a way that you can, in your mind, still declare victory, like, I achieved this, or I achieved that, or something like that?
Yes. I'm not like putting everything into this, meaning I'm not going to lose my head or my peace or my way because of some bad apples or bad characters who are trying to thwart me. I'm smart enough to know that I'm not going to fall to their, which would be perfect. Like I said, I'd literally be a moving target, trying to get my signs everywhere, going door to door to door to door. If Antifa's looking for me, well, they'll be able to find me real easy.
Okay.
But they might have to be a lot more bold to come.
Yeah, but they won't care if you lose.
I don't care.
I'm saying Antifa won't care.
I care what's at stake for New York if I lose.
No, what I'm saying is Antifa's not going to care if you lose. If you lose, Antifa will go, oh, whatever, next, right? They won't care, right? Sure. You'll be fine if you lose. They won't really care. They'll go someplace else. They won't care. I have a question, which I want to, were your parents, someone asked this question, were your parents raised as Goldwater Republicans?
No, actually, I'm a first generation American. I'm a Ukrainian, and my grandparents, very young, my grandfather has been on his own since he was 14 years old, taking care of his little brother. My grandmother, when they were literally orphanages, orphans, not orphanages, orphans, because their parents had died from starvation.
Wow.
And they were picked up by the Germans and sent to Auschwitz to work on migrant farms.
Oh my God.
Up getting sponsored by the Ukrainian Catholic Church to come to New York, Auburn, New York. And so knowing what that they went through, and then looking at what I've gone through in my own life, I've been on my own since I was 16 years old as well. It's deeper than that to me. I can't leave this world to my children in the hands of communism, and I won't.
Gotcha. Okay. Now that answers, because somebody was asking, why is she that way? That's why you're that way. Okay, that makes sense. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So,
and I have a biracial family. I get stuck in the mud with it all the time. You racist? Am I? White privileged lady? Am I? Like every time they just can't win. They cannot beat me. So I have the victory. This election is small change to what is to come.
I like that. The issue that you've just brought up is one that I get so tired of seeing. Is no matter what, we simply have to pick a your side or a my side. And then my side is always right and your side is always wrong. And it doesn't matter what it is, no matter what, my side's right, your side's wrong. And the second you all of a sudden say it's not, my side isn't right, now you're my enemy. We see it all the time. And it's hard when someone actually does straddle the line. It can be challenging. It throws people off. They don't like it because, you know what? They want to put you in a box.
Yeah, exactly. You got to, fit with the toe the party line. But
yes,
I don't fit. So that's okay. But I wasn't sent to fit in, especially with people like that.
So I guess I'll ask the question that I because you're a New Yorker, I asked the serious question. Are you considering leaving the state now?
That has been on my radar. That was really what it came down to, was for me to run or run. And
yes. Oh God, I know that feeling.
I'm a very spiritual woman, and I realize that this battle I will face no matter where I run to. And the opportunity is here and now. So I'm taking this opportunity here and now. And now look at what's taking place. So I can't control what is going to happen. I can only just be prepared. And knowing the things that I know, I'm going to be fine. Just anyway, like, I didn't put my all into this election. I was just trying to do the right thing. And that's not going to go away. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop protesting or being an activist or fighting for our rights. I'm not going away.
Well, you said that some people are now starting to take your policies and take your ideas, right?
Well, I mean, some of the things that I've done to stay irrelevant or have, like, a buzz on social media, I see now that some of them are kind of taking those ideas and trying to get some last minute support. And hey, it's okay,
Absolutely.
And they have
absolutely
all the money in the world. They have all the money in the world to run a big, huge campaign and pay for all the TV ads in the world. And you're copying ideas from a person who raised $1,700. And you think that I won't win, but
there we go.
About the people.
Yes.
Side.
Now, this is the thing that also drives me crazy. People love your run or run phrasing. They're loving that. So that's good.
It's true.
But
someone, Larry, they said you need to just get a mobile home or vote with your feet.
There we go. But that's the thing that I can't stand about our state, right? And if you go into any room of people in New York State and you ask them how many are considering leaving, at least half the hands go up in any given room. And it's sad that that's true. And I really hope we can fix this to make this a whole lot better. I really do.
Well, yeah, I mean, and if we look at the tax plan that the Bidens are, the Democrat Party is looking to set forth, the 1%, the wealthiest 1% of New Yorkers already pay 40% of our taxes. So if we raise their taxes, if we tax the wealthiest, they're going to be just like the other millions who took off out of the state. And that huge, heavy tax burden is going to fall right on us and the poor.
It's already happening.
Welcome to full-fledged socialism, because
it's already happening. I think it's already, you see happening.
It. So we cannot, yes. If this gets crazy, then I'll do the podcast row, and I'm ready to, pack it up.
What's funny, I live in New York City, right? So I literally see the people who have decided I'm not coming back, right? Some people don't know this, but my day job, when I actually get to work, I know His Majesty King Andrew II, oh, hail the king, has decided that I'm not essential, so I don't get to work the way everyone else does. But in any case, so when my day job, now most of it has become coaching, because I there's no more consulting gigs to go to. The training gigs have immediately they've dried up. So I'm down to doing mostly coaching. Most of the people who I coach are wealthy. Most of them are executives or in some way, shape, or form, doing well, at least, if not wealthy, doing well. And most people in New York City who are like that, they have secondary homes, right? They have one in Manhattan and then one maybe upstate, or maybe one on Long Island, or one in Jersey Shore, wherever. They're all leaving Manhattan and going to those secondary homes. And they went there like 6-7 months ago, and they've now figured out how to work without having to go back to Manhattan. If you don't have to go back to Manhattan, maybe those people are not coming back to New York at all. That's why Cuomo was begging them, come on back. I'll cook for you. No. Remember that stupidity?
Yeah. You, Andrew.
Yes, you're the problem, Andrew. It's your cooking ain't going to help. How about stop punishing them and they might show up? But the bigger issue is, while someone says, so what, Larry, if some rich people leave? And some people have told me that. So what? You're right. So some rich people leave. There's a problem, though. Now all the people who work for them also don't have to show up in Manhattan anymore. And if they don't have to do that, then the rich people can pay them a lower salary if they move someplace else. So they will encourage them to move someplace else. If you were getting a six-figure salary living in New York City, if you move out to Iowa, that six figures goes a whole lot longer and a whole lot further than it did in Manhattan. So without question, they just pack up and walk away. But more importantly, all the people who service the wealthy and the people who service those who work for the wealthy also don't come back to New York City. We're going to have some problems. You're totally correct.
We absolutely are. And, that's just it. I tell my partner all the time, listen, if we just picked up and went to another state, and yes, I use the term red state, because literally that's how we're broken and divided, and it really infringes upon our rights in one way or another. And so I said, if we even went to South Dakota.
Yes.
And he said, shut up. Okay, we're not going.
Sounds like my wife. Yeah, she's like, I'm not going to South Dakota. I said Alaska. She was like, Alaska? We're not going to Alaska. Yes, I know.
So he's not going to bend with me to go that far. But I am putting Florida, on the radar for that, because I tried to explain to him, we can just be us doing exactly what we do, have more money in our pockets. We're not getting taxed every time we go to the store and buy stuff.
Yep.
And our kids can go to school, so I can go back to work and doing all this extra stuff.
Absolutely.
Just simply being somewhere else. Let's go.
Brian says, Iowan, I'll happily take six figures. Yeah, but to be full with you, Brian, if you want to live in Manhattan and have any type of life, you have to have six figures. Yeah. There are people, and I was telling the story before, Upper West Side of Manhattan is a wealthy area in New York City. For those of you who don't know New York City very well, that area is a wealthy area, right? Upper East is also, but Upper West is wealthy. Many people in that area will live in a nice apartment building, and they'll spend $5,000 or $6,000 a month on rent. Mm-hmm. That's rent in that area. How can you survive without six figures if your rent is $6,000 a month? Not even your mortgage. Like, you're not even owning that. That's rent. And those people are packing up and just leaving. Now, you want to move someplace else, you're not going to pay $6,000 a month in rent, right? That's just not how it's going to work. Or if you do, you're literally renting a mansion. Like, you're renting a mansion for that. But that's an apartment in certain parts of Manhattan. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Matthew says, Mexico's the freest.
South America's on my radar too.
There we go, Matt. Absolutely. Yes. He also says he thinks that that New York may not recover.
That's true.
And I think it may not. Right? My gut tells me New York City prior to COVID had about 8.5 million people. My call is New York City will keep going down to it's below 7 million and never move past 7 million again. Because we're losing our finance, we're losing tech, we're losing our regular businesses. New York is going to become a massive cultural and tourist city. And when that happens, you can't support 8.5 million people on that. You just can't. Doesn't work at all. Terrible.
A lot of those people are moving upstate where we are, but a lot of people from upstate, you can't get enough U-Hauls. I can't tell you how many houses for sale there are. I think 50% of small businesses in New York will never open again.
Never again.
Recovery is where it's going to hurt the most is our kids. And so that is a serious issue for me. And if we don't do something about this now, it's only going to be worse. And I can't leave this world for my children to that. I can't. That's not what I'm a mom, and I'm a mama bear.
Yep.
So I can't leave. I had a good life, even though it was rough in the beginning. I had a good life, and I do my best to give them the best life I can.
Sure.
So I can't leave this world to leave the world like that to them. I just can't do it.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And I see it. I feel almost like New York City people are trying to move upstate while upstate people are leaving the state. I feel
Yeah.
it's almost like we're playing, musical chairs, right?
Yeah.
We're playing musical chairs. Yes, absolutely. But I do think, of all the bad things that 2020 has given us, and it has given us a lot of bad things, I do think that there is a silver lining. It's not a great silver lining, but it is one. I think for many, many people, this is a year of enlightenment. For many people, they're seeing like, wow, our education's broken. Wow, is this what medical is really about? Do vaccines work? Are they right? How much power does the government have? What do these two parties, can they actually help us? I mean, so many things. Police force, racism. Everyone's thinking about things they just haven't thought of before. But this year brought a lot of that. And my only hope is, so far it doesn't look so great, but my hope is there'll be some actual dialogue and some actual change. So far, not so great, to be forward with you. It's not going great, but I'm hoping that there'll be some real dialogue on how to solve some problems, make things better, and to not just jump into corners and fight.
Absolutely. And I say that all the time, that right now the truth is being censored, it's being removed. People think that people who are doctors and scientists, they're just YouTube quacks, but they're actually using YouTube so that they can get their professional voices heard. And so, that being said, the truth is, my campaign slogan is to Jackson for the people, choose freedom. The only thing that will give us freedom is the truth. And we
Absolutely.
have to wake up to the truth, all of us, so that we can unite against what it is. And that is not me giving an overthrowing of the government. But let me put it
Do you hear that, FBI? It's not that, FBI. Stop. It's not saying that. No, but you bring up a valid point, right?
And the people need to come together to stand up to this tyranny that is occurring, because it's enough is enough. It's so many people are suffering, and we can't just keep letting this happen.
The thing that most people don't understand is, if we're gonna find the truth very often has to be shaken out, almost like a scientific method in a way, right? But you can't do that if I don't show all the sides so that I can compare and go, oh, that's not really true. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe part of that is true. Where is the truth? But if I only get, oh, government says this is truth, well, then I not only do I never shake it out, but I think a harder part, and I think you're talking about this with your children, a harder part is, as Americans, we don't have the culture or the mindset or even the skills to look for the truth. We simply just accept it as presented. I remember when my daughter got in trouble in school. She was probably 9 or 10 years old. My oldest daughter got in trouble, and maybe a little younger. She got in trouble, and the teacher said, I have a problem, Mr. Sharpe. Your daughter, she doesn't really want to follow orders. She doesn't want to, make her seniors happy. She really doesn't. She's not about pleasing, the teachers and such. And I said, okay, and what's the problem? I was like, what? That's a bad thing. And he was like, yes, she won't fall in line. What? And I was like, oh, I don't belong here. Okay, great. Got it. Okay, I don't belong here anymore. Yeah. And it was just easy that I now, the one good thing is he at least let me know I don't belong here anymore. But yes, so just exactly. I want to make sure we have a culture that wants to find the truth and shake it up and find it.
Yeah, it's there. You just have to kind of break up the way that it was, because I was there. I was on the other side of the spectrum, keeping my mouth shut, thinking, going along with the norm, liking my little cozy bubble that I was living in, and ignoring the truth, even though it was kind of giving me some taps like, come on. And, it just came to a point where I knew so much that it was time for me to do something about it before it's too late. And that's why I'm here, period, you know.
No, I'm glad. I'm glad you came on. I'm glad you're still trying. I'm glad you haven't given up, and I'm glad you haven't moved to South Dakota yet. So we can still try to keep you for a little bit. It's fine, whatever. It's all good. But I'm also glad that you're the thing that I liked so much about you, and one reason why I wanted to support you here is because I get it. You're Republican. I don't mind, but you're open to talk to people.
Yeah.
You talk to people. You don't go, my way's right and you're all wrong and do as the Republican Party says, or you're all evil.
Saying I'm a Republican, but you got to understand something. I'm only a Republican because I had to beat a Democrat.
I'm okay with that.
From the beginning, I'm more libertarian, but if I ran as a libertarian, I wouldn't have a standing chance in hell to even be in this campaign yet.
Yes, I agree.
But having that endorsement and running as a Republican, if I do win this election, some changes will be made.
I like that. Well, Gavin wants you to come to Sioux Falls.
Okay.
So he's already prepping you.
I guess I'm supposed to get a mobile home, because then if it comes time, I can just take it all and just.
There we go. See?
I don't think I'm quite accustomed to that. I'm thinking more a good plot of land, and then that's my home base, and leave me the hell alone. If you come around these parts, these here parts. You
started talking that way already. It's already happened. Gavin, look what you did. You've already done it. All right. So anyway, guys, I want to say thank you so much. Is there anything you want to bring up before we wrap this up?
No, you guys can see my platform at www.jacksonforthepeople.com.
There it is.
I am on Twitter at the Conic Show, TheKonykshow, all one word. And I'm going to be resuming my podcast again. So, like I said, I'm not going anywhere.
There we go. Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on today. Guys, thank you all for watching. I will see you all tomorrow night. It'll be 8 p.m. tomorrow night, but I will see you guys all tomorrow night. Stephanie, thank you so much. Everybody have a great night.